Ya Allah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين. Alhamdulillah, today we completed the recitation of the 13th juz of Quran. There's one ayah left for the Surah Hijr. Only one ayah of it is in the 13th para. After that, the rest of it is in 14. So the question I have for you is, when were these paras made? Who made the paras? Who put the rukus? Who did all of this in the Quran? Was it there in the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? The paras? No. Was it there in the time of Usman radiallahu anhu? No. Later on, Wallahu A'lam who divided it into paras, but it seems that it's scholars from the maybe Bukhara area. For sure the ruku in the Quran, like the rukus that we have in the basic Qurans, those were added by the scholars of Bukhara, where Imam Bukhari is from. The reason being, the majority of the people, they didn't know Arabic there, despite huge scholars being from there. Like their first language was always Farsi or whatever. So what they would do, they put the rukus in the Quran to try to make the meaning of each ruku kind of flow, be about one meaning. So if you read one ruku in Salah, usually, except for a few places where they made mistakes with the rukus, the meaning is going to be coherent. And if you read one ruku in every single rak'ah, what happens is that on the 27th of Ramadan you'll finish Khatam of the Quran too. So if you want to try it out for yourself, if you look at the rukus in the Quran, how many rukus there are? Every single rak'ah you read one ruku. So what is it? 20 times 27, what is that? It is 540, right? So there should be 540 rukus in the Quran. Let's see. Okay, just something interesting. So now anyway, Surah Hud, today we'll go over Surah Hud and Surah Yunus inshallah, because we went over, Surah Hud and Surah Yusuf. We recited today Surah Yusuf, Surah Ra'ad and Surah Ibrahim as well. But Surah Yusuf is a little bit long discussion, we didn't discuss Hud either. Hud is also like this, there's like one half day of Surah Hud in 11th para, then it starts in 12th para. So now Surah Hud, what is the theme of it? Remember Surah Tawbah was about Tawbah, about the i'tiraf al-usul, a person admitting that I messed up. Surah Yunus was about how to make Tawbah. Surah Hud is about the samarat of Tawbah, the fruits of Tawbah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Alif Lam Ra Kitabun Uhkimat Ayatuhu Thumma Fussilat Min Ladun Hakimin Khabir. This is a decisive, strong book, and its ayat are decisive. And Thumma Fussilat, and it's in detail, and it's also decisive. Min Ladun Hakimin Khabir, directly from Allah, the All-Wise and the All-Knowing. And what does this demand when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the All-Wise and All-Knowing, when He sends us something, what does it demand? Allah ta'budu illa Allah, that we worship none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Innani lakum minhu nadhirun wa bashir. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sends prophets, and prophets are one of two things. We talked about this on the first night. Either they warn you or they give you glad tidings, right? They warn you and they give you glad tidings. But if you accept what the Prophet brings to you, then you need to do something. Now Surah Hud, one unique thing about Surah Hud is it will outline that there's a difference. Remember we talked about Tawbah? Before tawbah, tawbah is a high level. What does tawbah mean? Tawbah means to leave your sin completely. Tawbatan nasuha. Once Umar radiallahu anhu was standing on the mimbar. Abu Sa'id Khudri radiallahu anhu, he narrates, when Umar radiallahu anhu was the Khalifa, he was giving the khutbah of Jummah. And in there he said that, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu tubu ila Allahi tawbatan nasuha. O believers, repent sincerely to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he described what this sincere tawbah is. He said that it means that ثُمَّ لَا يَعُودُ ثُمَّ لَا يُرِيدُ أَن يَعُودُ, that the person does not return to the sin after making tawbah, and they don't even intend to do so. This is what tawbah is. So before tawbah, there's one smaller step, an easy step. You know, sometimes when you want to get going, if you want to start exercising, right? You have to just get on the treadmill. Once you start walking, after that you can start running. Similarly, there's a step before tawbah. Tawbah is the top of the ladder, top of the stairs. The first step is istighfar. A lot of times we think that these two things are the same, but there's difference. The reason that I say the difference, this ayah. وَأَنِ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ ثُمَّ تُوبُوا إِلَيْهِ. When the Prophet comes and they give you glad tidings or they warn you, now it's time for you to accept. And now what do you have to do to accept? وَأَنِ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ. Seek forgiveness from Allah. ثُمَّ تُوبُوا إِلَيْهِ. Then turn to Him in repentance. So istighfar is saying from your mouth. You can say from your heart that, Ya Allah, I'm sorry. It's, Ya Allah, please forgive me. It might not be a permanent change, but it's for now. Ya Allah, I admit that I did something wrong, Ya Allah. Look, there's three types of nafs, and we also read this in Surah Yusuf. One is the worst type of nafs. Inna nafsa la'ammaratun bisu. A person's nafs always telling him, do bad things, do bad things, do bad things. Then when a person develops themselves, their nafs moves to the next level. Nafsul lawwama, that's mentioned in Surah Qiyamah. Nafsul lawwama is the nafs that blames a person. When you do something bad, you feel bad about it. So you make istighfar, right? Then eventually when a person makes tawbah, you'll get to this level of Ya ayyatuha nafsul mutmainna that Imam Isa said in Witr. Nafsul mutmainna is that heart that's content with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning that it wants to do good, that nafs wants you to do good. Even your nafs that usually wants you to do bad, it's saying do good things, right? So now, the first step, istaghfiru. So to get to nafsul lawwama, you feel bad about what you did, so you make istighfar to Allah. Summa tubu ilayh. Then you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in sincere repentance. Remember in Surah Yunus, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He described the shirk. People are just making tawbah for the sake of their ship reaching the land, for a dunyawi benefit. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, look, when you make real tawbah, you don't do it for the dunya, but Allah will give you the dunya. ثُمَّ تُوبُوا إِلَيْهِ يُمَتِّعْكُمْ مَتَاعًا حَسَنًا إِلَىٰ أَجَلٍ مُسَمًّى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you mata'i hasana, will give you the good things of the world. And the hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, this is for you. The hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is that ad-dunya kulluha mata'. The whole world is something that you benefit. Saman. That's what kulluha al-mata' means. وَخَيْرُ مَتَاعِ الدُّنْيَا. And the best mata', the best saman of the dunya is what? Al-mar'atu salihah, is a pious wife. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if you want mata'i hasana, if you want the good saman of this world, if you want the good things to benefit from this world, make istighfar. So if you want, and the best thing to benefit from the world, in the world, is a pious woman, a wife, right? A pious wife. So make abundant istighfar, istighfar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will inshallah will give you a pious wife. The other thing, I missed it by one day, but every year what happens is people, they argue about the moon sighting anyway, right? So take advantage of this, take advantage of the ikhtilaf that people have. Some people, for them, it's the 12th night. Look, Mufti Rafi Usmani, this is from him. On the 12th night of Ramadan, 12th night of Ramadan, which is yesterday, I said some people, it's their 12th night today. Right? Usually the ikhtilaf in the moon sighting is a means of a fight. Over here we get a means of fight, a benefit. On the 12th night, after the 11th fast of Ramadan, after completing with their salah, 12th night, perform 12 rakats of nafil salah in units of 2. So 6 units of 2, 12 rakats. In each rakat, recite Surah Fatiha and Surah Ikhlas. Thereafter, recite Durood Ibrahim, the whole thing 100 times. And send the reward to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then make fervent dua for marriage.
This amal has been practiced for 20 years, and with the grace of Allah, many marriages have taken place before the next Ramadan. Do it. You can tell me. I don't think it works for second marriages.
Brother, I do think that's
Thank you.
Second?
Yeah.
If you get a second marriage on this, don't blame me. And if you get a first marriage, you can thank me. Okay? Now, okay? So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you want good things in the world, make abundant istighfar. إِلَى اللَّهِ مَرْجِعُكُمْ وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. You'll return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we come to the story of Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam. This is mentioned in some detail over here. Look, Nuh alayhi salam, he dealt with problems. When you call out to people, you're going to deal with things. In deen, you're going to deal with problems. Nuh alayhi salam, he told his people same thing. Allah ta'budu illa Allah. Inni akhafu alaykum adaba yawmin alim. When a person calls to deen, you're going to deal with certain problems. فَقَالَ الْمَلَأُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ قَوْمِهِ. The people who are going to find opposing you, it's not going to be poor people. It's not going to be regular people. It's going to be high-fi people, people from the top of society, politicians, rich people, intellectual people. فَقَالَ الْمَلَأُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ قَوْمِهِ مَا نَرَاكَ إِلَّا بَشَرًا مِثْلَنَا. When these high and mighty people said, we don't think you're anything. You're nothing. You're just like us. وَمَا نَرَاكَ اتَّبَعَكَ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ هُمْ أَرَادِلُنَا بَادِيَ الرَّأْيِ. And no one special is following you. People like us aren't following you. It's the lowest of the society. They're following you. وَمَا نَرَى لَكُمْ عَلَيْنَا مِنْ فَضْلٍ. We don't see anything special with you. You're not rich. You're not famous. وَمَا نَرَى لَكُمْ عَلَيْنَا مِنْ فَضْلٍ بَلْ نَظُنُّكُمْ كَاذِبِينَ. We think that you're a liar. Any person who works to preach in deen, you'll deal with obstacles like this as well. قال يا قوم أرأيتم إن كنت على بينة من ربي. Nuh alayhi salam, he responds by saying, look, على بينة من ربي. I have proof from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't look at me. Look at my proof. Look at what I have. وآتاني رحمة من عندي. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving me rahmah. فعميت عليكم. You're turning a blind eye. أنلزمكموها وأنتم لها كارهون. I can't force you. My job is to convey to you. That's all. That's the job. And Nuh alayhi salam, he says this as well. وَيَا قَوْمِ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ مَالًا. Oh my people, I don't ask any wealth from you. Look, Islam goes in stages, right? When the Khilafah was at the top of the world, right? What is the best profession that a person can have is being a Qazi or be a Mufti. You have the biggest salary, right? That's the most prestigious position that you have. But a time will come when you try to propagate deen, you have to tell people, look, come and just take this knowledge. I'm not asking anything from it. Like Imam Taraweeh, he went through the efforts of making the question and answer thing on our website. You don't have to charge people anytime that you ask the question. We just want people to take the knowledge, ask questions, learn and come. وَيَا قَوْمِ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ مَالًا إِنْ أَجْرِيَ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ. I don't want anything from you. The reward is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But at the same time, وَمَا أَنَا بِطَارِدِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. I cannot reject those who believe. No matter what you think about them, I can't reject them. وَإِنَّهُمْ مُلَاقُو رَبِّهِمْ وَلَكِنِّي أَرَاكُمْ قَوْمًا تَجْهَلُونَ. وَيَا قَوْمِ مَنْ يَنْصُرُنِي مِنَ اللَّهِ إِنْ طَرَدتُّمْ أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Oh my people, who can help you against Allah? Who can help me against Allah if I reject these people who believe? أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. And now another objection comes that if Islam is the truth, why are Muslims struggling? Why is the position of Muslims the way that it is? وَلَا أَقُولُ لَكُمْ عِنْدِي خَزَائِنُ اللَّهِ. By believing in this deen, I never said that you were going to get the treasures of Allah. وَلَا أَعْلَمُ الْغَيْبِ. You might see people advancing in other fields more than the Muslims. I didn't see that I have the keys to the unseen. Although Islam should guide a person to progress in this dunya as well. If it doesn't, the prophets didn't promise this. وَلَا أَعْلَمُ الْغَيْبِ وَلَا أَقُولُ إِنِّي مَلَكٌ. I never said I'm an angel, that everything that nobody will be able to defeat me. وَلَا أَقُولُ لِلَّذِينَ تَزْدَرِي أَعْيُنُكُمْ لَن يُؤْتِيَهُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا اللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ إِنِّي إِذًا لَمِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. The people said to Nuh alayhi salam, Nuh, you're a liar. We think that you're a liar. So Nuh alayhi salam said that, look, ولا ينفعكم نصحي إن أردت أن أنصح لكم إن كان الله يريد أن يخزيكم وربكم وإليه ترجعون. I can't benefit you through my nasiha. That's all I'm going to do. Finally, he said, bring the punishment. So now this is glad tidings for those who deal with rejection when they call others to deen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, number one, وَأُوحِيَ إِلَى نُوحٍ أَنَّهُ لَن يُؤْمِنَ مِنْ قَوْمِكَ إِلَّا مَنْ قَدْ آمَنَ فَلَا تَبْتَئِسْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَفْعَلُونَ. Nobody's going to believe. وَاصْنَعِ الْفُلْكَ بِأَعْيُنِنَا وَوَحْيِنَا. Build a ship with my guidance. Now look, Nuh alayhi salam was not any master architect or builder. Yet he built a ship, the likes that nobody had seen. When a person is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when the time comes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow them to do a work that even they didn't know that they were prepared for.
that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take them by the hand and allow them to do the work of 100 people, of 1,000 people, despite them maybe not even having the qualification to do it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help. Along the way, you might even deal with obstacles from your family. It happens. Right? Nuh alayhi salam's son didn't believe, his wife didn't believe. Now we move to Hud alayhi salam, and I'll just point at one thing. Hud alayhi salam, he says to his people, وَيَا قَوْمِ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ ثُمَّ تُوبُوا إِلَيْهِ. Oh my people, make istighfar to Allah, ثُمَّ تُوبُوا إِلَيْهِ, then make tawbah. يُرْسِلِ السَّمَاء. When you do this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send down rain to you. Mawlana Shaykh Al-Hamdi rahmatullahi alayhi says that this rain, it could be physical rain, or it could be batini rain, spiritual rain, rain upon your heart that will bring a dead heart to life. يُرْسِلِ السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِدْرَارًا, abundantly, وَيَزِدْكُمْ قُوَّةً إِلَى قُوَّتِكُمْ, and it will increase you in strength after your strength. Meaning you might have physical strength, now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you spiritual strength as well. وَلَا تَتَوَلَّوْا مُجْرِمِينَ. These are some of the benefits of tawbah. At the end of the surah, there's an ayah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that Surah Tawbah, towards the end of his life, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he had about 13 white hairs. The Sahaba radiallahu anhu, they counted it. Maybe I'm off on the number. Right? So one of the Sahaba, they said, Ya Rasulullah, you're becoming old. You're getting white hairs. And he's 63, only had like 13 white hairs. But he said, Ya Rasulullah, you're becoming old. He said that Shayyabani, that Surah Hud, and the other surahs like it have made me old. So Nabi said, so that they said, is it the stories of the nations being destroyed? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, no, it's this ayah. فَاسْتَقِمْ كَمَا أُمِرْتَ وَمَنْ تَابَ مَعَكَ وَلَا تَتَطَوْا إِنَّهُ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ بَصِيرٌ. Stay steadfast on what you've been ordered to do. وَمَنْ تَابَ مَعَكَ, and those who are with you, they should stay steadfast on what they've been ordered. وَلَا تَتَطَوْا إِنَّهُ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ بَصِيرٌ, and don't go astray. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you. You know, you hear تَعْمَلُونَ يَعْمَلُونَ تَعْمَلُونَ يَعْمَلُونَ. Sometimes in Taraweeh, that's all you hear. تَعْمَلُونَ يَعْمَلُونَ تَعْمَلُونَ يَعْمَلُونَ. But when it says يَعْمَلُونَ, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says يَعْمَلُونَ, it's glad tidings for you. They're doing something bad, Allah is watching them. يَعْمَلُونَ means them, right? تَعْمَلُونَ, this is a warning from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, you, I'm watching what you're doing. The next time, وَلَا تَرْكَنُوا إِلَى الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا, and don't incline towards the oppressors. فَتَمَسَّكُمُ النَّارُ, the fire will touch you. وَمَا لَكُمْ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ مِنْ أَوْلِيَاءٍ ثُمَّ لَا تُنصَرُونَ وَأَقِيمِ الصَّلَاةَ طَرَفَيِ النَّهَارِ, and pray salah at both sides of the day. وَزُلَفًا مِنَ اللَّيْلِ, and إِنَّ الْحَسَنَاتِ يُذْهِبْنَ السَّيِّئَاتِ, that sins they'll wipe out your bad deeds. Now we come to Surah Yusuf. 5 minutes and inshallah we'll stop. Okay? In Surah Yusuf, the great connection, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls it Ahsan al-Qasas, the best of stories. So in Surah Yusuf, when you see it lines up with the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the past, present and future of this ummah. So Yusuf alayhi salam, he has this dream. He says, Inni ra'aytu ahada ashara kawkaba. Oh my father, I see 12 stars and the sun and the moon. Ra'aytuhum sajidin, making sajda to me. His father says to him, Ya bunayya la taqsus ru'ya. Don't say this to your brothers. Ala ikhwatika fayakidu laka kayda. They'll get jealous and they'll make some plot against you. Inna shaytana lil insani aduwwun mubin. Yusuf alayhi salam thought to him, he said, these are my brothers. How can my brothers become jealous? So he went and he told them. And now they made plots against him. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his brothers from the Quraysh, they should have been the most happy for him. They should have been the ones standing for him. Yet they made plots to kill him. So they made plots. إِذْ قَالُوا لَيُوسُفُ وَأَخُوهُ أَحَبُّ إِلَىٰ أَبِينَا. They said Yusuf is more beloved to our father. وَنَحْنُ أَصْفَى. We're better, we're stronger. إِنَّ أَبَانَا لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. This rage led them to say, اُقْتُلُوا يُوسُفَ أَوْ اطْرَحُوهُ أَرْضًا يَخْلُ لَكُمْ وَجْهُ أَبِيكُمْ. He said, kill Yusuf or put him in a deserted land so he could die, starve to death. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to save, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts it in the hearts of people as well. So one of the brothers said, no, let's not kill him. Inna Allah la yu'ayyidu hadha ad-din bi rajulin fajir. I'm not saying he's fajir, his brother. What I'm saying is, in general, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can help this deen through a criminal as well. Sometimes you'll see a non-Muslim, sometimes you'll see an evil person. Sometimes you'll see that Fir'aun, he helped the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. You'll see as well today, sometimes people, they're not good people, but they stand up for deen. Who was the one that said, I'm signing an order to open the churches and the masjids and name them essential during the lockdown? Who was it? I don't think the person is any friend of deen.
Finish the ayah. تصبحوا من بعده صالحين.
Right.
That's shaitan. You feel like shaitan voice here.
So then he says that,
قال قائل اقتلوا يوسف أو اطرحوه أرضا يخل لكم وجه أبيكم وتكونوا من بعده قوما صالحين. And they said, kill Yusuf, we'll be good afterwards. Just do the sin now, we'll be good afterwards. But then one brother said, قال قائل منهم لا تقتلوا يوسف, don't kill Yusuf. Similarly with the Quraysh, what did they do? All of them were afraid to take the step themselves to kill Rasulullah. All of them together said, let's kill Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He saved Yusuf alayhi salam. Now Yusuf alayhi salam is sitting inside of the well and he doesn't know what to do. وقال الذي اشتراه من مصر لامرأته أكرمي مثواه عسى أن ينفعنا ونتخذه ولدا. He's taken into slavery and he's sold to who? The minister, the Aziz of Egypt. He says to his wife, treat him well, perhaps he'll benefit us or we could take him as a son. The people of Medina, Rasulullah never wanted to leave Makkah. When he was leaving, he looked back at the Kaaba and he said that you're the most beloved place on earth to me. And if it weren't for these people, I would have never left you. But when he's leaving, Abbas radiallahu anhu, he talks to the Quraysh, to the people of Medina, a little bit before he leaves. And he says that at least he has family here. At least he has some family here. We'll stand for him even though we don't believe. What about you? They said that we'll look after him like we look after our children and our families. Just like Aziz said. So it was a safe haven for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The house of Aziz was a safe haven as well. And the crux of this entire surah, وَاللَّهُ غَالِبٌ عَلَىٰ أَمْرِهِ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is dominant over everything. But most people, they don't know. Everything that's happening in this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has it happen for a reason. Most people, they don't realize. Every single little thing that's happening is part of a bigger plan. But now he's in this house, and the woman who's looking after him, who's supposed to be like his mother figure, she begins to become attracted to him. And now he can't not listen, he's a slave at the end of the day. She keeps hinting at him. Finally, directly, she locks the door. She said, come here. As I've said before, the way of the Anbiya is in any difficulty, turn the attention to Allah. He doesn't tell her no. He says, Ma'azallah, I seek the protection of Allah. Then he says, Innahu Rabbi ahsana maswaya. That and he, the meaning the Aziz, it could be Allah here, or it could be the Aziz of Egypt. He's my master, he's taking care of me. How can I betray him? How can I turn my back on him when he's done so much for me? There's no Muslims, we don't backstab people that helped us. إِنَّهُ لَا يُفْلِحُ الظَّالِمُونَ وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ وَهَمَّ بِهَا. She tried. Yusuf alayhi salam, he ran away. All the doors became unlocked. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped him. But she continued in this. So Yusuf alayhi salam said, قَالَ رَبِّ السِّجْنُ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا يَدْعُونَنِي إِلَيْهِ. Oh Allah, jail is more beloved to me than what they call me to. وَإِلَّا تَصْرِفْ عَنِّي كَيْدَهُنَّ. And if you don't turn away their plot from me, أَصْبُ إِلَيْهِنَّ. I'll fall into it. وَأَكُنْ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. Yusuf alayhi salam had to go to jail to protect his deen. There'll be a time, Surah Al-Kahf, what do we learn? People have to go in seclusion to protect themselves. Some of the scholars, what they say, is that in this day and age, Yusuf he had to go to jail. In jail he was preaching the deen. In this day and age, the jails in which deen is taught is the masajid and the madaris, right? What I mean by this is when Islam was ruling the world, Islam was practiced in the markets. Islam was practiced in the street, in the government, everywhere. Now Islam is restricted to this one place, right? This one small place. The masajid, madrasas, etc. That's where deen is taught. That's it. It's nowhere in public life. But from there, the development will come that will cause the person to flower and come out and let deen come out again. So Yusuf is in jail and he's still preaching the deen. These two people, they come to him and they say, interpret our dreams for us. Yusuf he interprets it. He said, one is going to die, one is going to live. When one of them is going, the one that's going to live, Yusuf he says to him that Yusuf this Quran is different print than mine. He says that ظَنَّ أَنَّهُ نَاجٍ مِّنْهُمَا أُذْكُرْنِي عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ. Mention me in front of the king. So فَانْسَاهُ الشَّيْطَانُ ذِكْرَ رَبِّهِ فَلَبِثَ فِي السِّجْنِ بِضْعَ سِنِينَ. So shaitan caused him to forget. What happened was, look, the love, when you have true love for someone, you're not going to look at anyone else or you're not going to want help from anyone. Yusuf alayhi salam, what he did was, he mentioned to this person, mention me in front of the king. Even that little thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says from a Nabi, no. So he says he made him forget. فَأَنْسَاهُ الشَّيْطَانُ Shaitan made this man forget. And so Yusuf ﷺ had to stay in jail for many years. Similarly, when the Muslim Ummah, when it's downtrodden, when it looks to NGOs for help, when it looks to the IMF for help, when it looks to non-Muslims for help, when we have people who say that let's not practice our deen because we don't want non-Muslims to think that we're backwards, what will happen? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help won't come. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help will be delayed rather. But when a person finally says that it's only Allah that could help me, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help will come immediately. And just how Yusuf alayhi salam, when he interprets this dream and he comes out of the jail and immediately is appointed as the Prime Minister of Egypt, Islam, when it comes up again in the time of Imam Mahdi, all of a sudden Islam will go from zero to hero. Islam will come up, people will be surprised. How did this happen? There was nothing indicating, when you look at the things of the world, nothing indicating that Muslims should be a superpower right now. Yet immediately, at one time, the Muslims will stand up and they'll be a force to be reckoned with. That they'll be defeating people on this side, defeating Nasara, defeating Yahud, ready to go and fight Dajjal, and then even defeating Dajjal. And then Ya'juj and Ma'juj will die as well, and the Muslims will be standing up. People say, when did this happen? How did this happen? What happened? In those jails, they were developing themselves. And in the jails, the people realized, we don't call on anybody except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when the hearts of the ummah become like that, this Muslim ummah will stand up. Then Yusuf alayhi salam, he did many things with his brothers, long thing. Coming to the end though, when we come back to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's life, look, a time will come after they expelled you from Makkah. A time will come where they'll come to you and they'll beg help from you. And that's in Yusuf alayhi salam's life as well. They come to him and they say that we don't have anything. يَا أَيُّهَا الْعَزِيزُ مَسَّنَا وَأَهْلَنَا الضُّرُّ. Our affliction has touched us and our family. وَجِئْنَا بِبِضَاعَةٍ مُزْجَاةٍ فَأَوْفِنَا الْكَيْلَ. We don't have anything. وَتَصَدَّقْ علينا, do sadaqah on us. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَجْزِي الْمُتَصَدِّقِينَ. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he went to conquer Makkah, what did he do? The leaders of Quraysh are standing in front of the Kaaba, terrified. You know, if you look in world history, what happens when a city is conquered? Rapes, murders, execution. And after all Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the Muslims went through in Makkah, if they made the streets of Makkah flow with blood, nobody would say that they were unjust. So all the leaders of Quraysh are standing in front of the Kaaba, terrified, saying, what is Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam going to do with this? Because they know all that they did. Now we come back to Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf alayhi salam says to his brothers, قَالَ هَلْ عَلِمْتُمْ مَا فَعَلْتُمْ بِيُوسُف. Do you know what you did with Yusuf? وَأَخِيهِ, and his brother, إِذْ أَنْتُمْ جَاهِلُونَ. Huh? قالوا أئنك لن تجد. Are you Yusuf? He said, أنا يوسف وهذا أخي. This is Yusuf, this is my brother with me. قد من الله علينا. Allah has blessed me. إنه من يتقي. Verily, the one who fears Allah ويصبر and has patience, فإن الله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين. Allah doesn't waste the good deeds of those, the reward of those who do good. قالوا تالله لقد, as they say, oh, forgive us. وإن كنا لخاطئين. Yusuf alayhi salam says, لا تسريب عليكم اليوم. No blame upon you. يغفر الله لكم. May Allah forgive you. وهو I'm not going to bring up anything from the past. Come back to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He says, what do you think I'm going to do with you today? They say to him, نَظُنُّكَ خَيْرًا. That, أَخٌ كَرِيمٌ إِبْنُ أَخٍ كَرِيمٌ. You're a noble brother, the son of a noble brother. نَظُنُّكَ خَيْرًا. We hope good for you. Yusuf alayhi salam says, this is exactly good. لَا تَسْرِيبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْيَوْمِ. No blame on you. يَغْفِرُ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ وَهُوَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. May Allah forgive you. Now Yusuf alayhi salam's brothers and father and mother, they all come to Egypt. And he says to his father, Udkhulu Misra, inshallah aminin. Enter into Egypt, inshallah aminin. And he puts his parents on the throne. And his brothers and parents, they all fall to him in sajda. In the old Shariahs, you are allowed to do sajda to a person out of ta'zim. Not anymore. He says to his father, Ya abati haza ta'wilu ru'yaya min qabl. This is my dream that I saw before. قَدْ جَعَلَهَا رَبِّي حَقًّا. My Rabb has made it a reality. Similarly, the Muslims are promised something, Allah will make it a reality. But you have to go through a lot. وَقَدْ أَحْسَنَ بِي إِذْ أَخْرَجَنِي مِنَ السِّجْنِ. And Allah did good with me when He took me out of jail. وَجَاءَ بِكُم مِّنَ الْبَدْوِ مِن بَعْدِ أَن نَزَغَ الشَّيْطَانُ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ إِخْوَتِي. And He caused me to be solidified after Shaitan put something between me and my brothers. إِنَّ رَبِّي لَطِيفٌ لِمَا يَشَاءُ. Allah is very subtle with whoever He wills. إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْعَلِيمُ الْحَكِيمُ. He's knowledgeable and wise. The last thing this dua that Yusuf alayhi salam makes at this point, it's called Ahsan al-Dua. The surah is Ahsan al-Qasas, perhaps because Ahsan al-Dua, the best dua is in it. Yusuf alayhi salam, look, any difficulty that you're in, any good time that you're in, at the end of the day, what happens? Death comes. Yusuf alayhi salam points to that now. Because it's a time of joy for him, and he's reflecting on all of his hardships. At any of those times he could have died. In this good time, before this good time, he could have died. Regardless, he says, I'm going to die one day. So he makes dua, Rabbi qad ataytani min al-mulk. Oh my Rabb, you've given me the kingdom, you've given me power. وَعَلَّمْتَنِي مِن تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. You've taught me how to interpret dreams. فاطر السماوات والأرض, O Creator of the heavens and earth, أنت وليي في الدنيا والآخرة. You're my protector in the dunya and akhirah. توفني مسلما. Allow me to die as a Muslim. This is what matters. What did Hazrat Khubayb radiallahu anh say at the time when he was being executed? وَلَسْتُ أُبَالِي حِينَ أُقْتَلُ مُسْلِمًا. I don't care as long as I'm killed as a Muslim. مِنْ أَيِّ شِقٍّ. That whichever direction my body falls in, the dead pieces of my body, I don't care as long as I'm killed as a Muslim. Yusuf alayhi salam says, Tawaffani Muslima, take me as a Muslim. وَأَلْقَنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ, and join me with the pious. And this is the crux of Yusuf alayhi salam's story. We hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the tawfiq to make this dua as well. And that at the time of our death, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to look back at all of our hard times. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we see that Allah got us through it. And that they were means of khair for us. And we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to see good times individually, as families, as a community, as a ummah. And we ask that when it comes time for us to die, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to die as Muslims. And He joins us with the salihin in Jannah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah.